Right guys, welcome back to another video. This is part 2 of 5 top tips about the Freelander 2. Number 1, Freelander 2s are notoriously sensitive to battery condition. If you get any errors on the dash, traction reduced or terrain response reduced or anything like that, or even any auto box errors or slow starting or anything like that, point your attention towards the battery first. You see, these cars are absolutely happy as Larry when they've got a brand new fresh battery on them, but then throwing their toys out the pram when the battery's just even degraded a little bit. So if you do have any issues, point your attention towards the battery. Have a check, when was it last changed? If you don't know when it was last changed, maybe focus on getting another battery installed. And talking about getting batteries installed, if you've got a stop-start car like this one is, make sure that you buy an AGM battery for it, which is easy for me to say, which stands for absorbed glass material. The difference between, I believe it's a lead acid battery and an AGM battery, is AGM batteries tolerate a lot more starting. It keeps the start-stop system happy and keeps the car happy. If you've just got a normal car without start-stop, a lead acid battery, if that's the right type of battery, is fine for it. But yeah, if you've got a stop-start car, AGM battery. And if anyone ever says that you need to get the battery programmed to the car, the battery management system, BMS as it's referred to, that will adapt to the battery automatically. The only difference is it might take a day, 2 days, or even up to a week to reprogram itself, I apologise, to the new capacity of the battery. So yeah, a lot of cars out there, you need to go to a garage, get it programmed into the car, but the Freelander 2, it will learn itself. It will just take a period of time, and your start-stop system might not work in the period that it's reprogramming itself.
Number 2, here's a little tip for you if you didn't already know. If you press the 2 mirror buttons at the same time, the mirrors will fold in, which is very handy if navigating a tight entrance or a narrow green lane.
Number 3, be careful how easy you go on these engines. You might feel a lot of satisfaction by setting your new personal best for the miles per gallon figure. You might be getting 40, 50 miles per gallon, but just be careful how easy you go on the engines. You might be costing yourself a lot in the long run. You see, some of these engines, they vary between, I think it's about 150 brake horsepower all the way up to about 190 brake horsepower, and that can sometimes make you lean on the torquiness side of the engines. They're very torquey engines, and I'm a great one to talk because that was my driving style. I used to lay on the torque, short shift through the gears, and just take it very easy without even thinking. Just flick it through the gears, get into 6th, and just cruise along. The issue is you'll build up a lot of carbon deposits on the turbo actuator and all bits and pieces like that that won't be burning away. The best thing you can do for your Freelander 2 is give it a bootload, and I don't mean start setting quali laps like your Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen or whoever you might support, and I don't mean drive it like you're in Fast and the Furious leaving the scene of the crime. Just use the lower gears a bit harder, get them revs up, get it up to, if you've got a manual, get it up to about 3,000 RPM in the lower gears. Find some hills that you can get flat to the floor, bring the revs up so the heat builds, the turbo starts working for its money for once. It will help the car out no end. And if you've got an auto box, knock it into manual, hold it in for gears for longer. Don't just rely on the sports mode side of it. Put it into manual and you dictate when it wants to change gear. That way the turbo will be happy, the engine will be a lot happier, and you'll have a lot less problems in the long run.
Number 4, so you want to know if your car has a DPF, which stands for diesel particulate filter, on it, but you're not sure how to find out. We'll make it really simple. I'm going to put our VIN number and some charts somewhere on the screen, and I'll help you work it out. You want to look at the 8th digit and then compare it to your VIN number with the charts that are on the screen right now. Depending on what letter is in the 8th spot on the VIN number will determine what engine is fitted to that Freelander 2 and whether or not it comes with a DPF. As you can see from our VIN number, we have a B in the 8th spot, and it's a 2010 car, so it doesn't have a DPF fitted to this model.
Number 5, generally with cars, people always use the theory they keep an eye on the front brake pads, and if there's meat left on the fronts, then there's always going to be meat on the backs, because the fronts do most of the work, take most of the effort. So generally that principle works for most cars. But with the Freelander 2, you kind of have to turn that theory up onto its head and kind of subscribe to the theory that if the rear pads are fine, then the fronts will be fine as well. You see, the reason for this is that the Freelander 2 comes with a lot of different driving and safety aids. which I'll list somewhere on screen here so you can get an idea. The other thing is the Freelander 2 comes with a 4-channel ABS module, and what that basically means is it can put one brake on at a time. With most cars, at best you get like the front pair or the rear pair. It'll either put the front brakes on or rear brakes on. Also, on top of that, if you go into the ABS of a car, like if you're on a slippery surface, for example, you'll feel the brake pedal judder underneath your foot. So you'll get feedback to say that there's a safety aid cut in. And also, people think that safety aids are basically emergency situations, like if you suddenly had to swerve or something like that. You see, with the Freelander 2, it's got a lot of these safety driving aids happening without you even knowing on just general driving. Such as if you go onto a roundabout a bit spiritedly, like you see a gap, you go in for it a bit quicker. With the 4-channel ECU ABS system that it's got on it, it can dab a little bit of rear brake, like a rear left or a rear right, just to keep the car settled and stop it from kind of tilting too much. And it will be doing this without you even knowing. It won't put any flashing lights on the dash, it won't be giving you any signs, it will just do it. And all this results in higher than probably what you're expecting rear brake pad. So if you haven't done so already, go out to your Freelander 2, maybe take a wheel off or stick your head through the spokes and have a look at them rear brake pads, because you might be surprised how much rear brake pad you've used compared to the fronts. So guys, that was 5 more of our top tips for the Freelander 2. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you could do us a favor, and if you did enjoy it, leave a like on the video. That will help us out no end. And if you enjoy these sort of videos, feel free to subscribe to the channel. But until the next time, we'll see you in the next video, everyone. Goodbye.